This week, we made our very first CNC project.
So put down your tools, guys. It's time for a make or break.
Hey guys, welcome back to Make or Break. I'm Ram.
And I'm Sarah, and this week, we tried out our CNC machine for the very first time.
We did. I was determined to do something different and unique. I didn't want to download someone else's plan, so I took the opportunity to look around the room, figure something I wanted that I didn't have, design it from the ground up, and then make it on the CNC.
Here's how it went.
So yeah, we got a CNC, specifically a Shapeoko 4, and we love it. Now I'm not going to try to make a CNC tutorial today, but I did want to give you a general idea of how a CNC project happens. For my first project, I wanted to design a second monitor stand so I could place a second monitor above my main. Now I designed it in SketchUp first, and then I rebuilt it in Adobe Illustrator, mostly because I know that program really well. As you can see, I designed tabs into each piece so it would all fit together kind of like a puzzle. After that, I moved the design into Carbide Create, which is the software we use for setting up our designs, and I prepared it to cut. Now, this specifically is where you tell the software what bit you're going to be cutting with, what lines it needs to cut, you set your feeds and speeds, and you create a file for your CNC. After that, I headed to the CNC, where I took a sheet of 1/2-inch plywood and used tape and super glue to hold it down to the wasteboard. Next, I set up my laptop and loaded my job. I installed a bit, and the CNC used this little silver button to determine exactly how long my bit is so it knows where to cut. Next, I have to move the bit head to the lower left-hand corner of my sheet of ply so it also knows where the wood is, and then you just kind of let it do its thing. This is a hobby-grade CNC, so it's definitely not fast, but I wasn't in a hurry. Watching it cut out each hexagon was fun, but I realized a little late that because I didn't cover the entire bottom with tape, some pieces kind of went flying across the room, so be sure to keep your goggles on. After all the hexagons were cut out, it got to work on the larger pieces. I will never get tired of watching this thing work. When it was done, I carefully vacuumed all the dust and then pulled up the pieces. I then removed all the tape and threw it out. Once the pieces were all cut, I had to spend a bunch of time sanding all the edges. Now there are different types of router bits, I guess, that could have done a better job of eliminating most of the tear out, but I didn't have one. Next, I started piecing it all together to see if it fit, and I'll tell you what, that was satisfying. The pieces fit perfectly. Next, I needed a faceplate for the monitor mount to attach to. I first ripped it to size on the table saw and then beveled the edges with my miter saw, and it fit great. Next, I used some pocket hole screws to attach it. I wanted the extra strength because, quite frankly, I didn't want the monitor falling on my face while I'm working. Sand, sand, sand. Now it was time for assembly. I first glued everything up and then used our nailer to hold it all together until it dried. After it was all assembled, it was time to paint it. Now this thing is huge and I didn't really want it to stand out in the room, so I just painted it black to blend it in with the monitor. Now I realized late in the process that I wanted the monitor to be angled down at the user, so to fix that, I found some spacers and then I drilled holes into the bracket at an angle with a Forstner bit. Then I pressed the spacers in and finally screwed the monitor mount into those spacers, and this worked perfectly. And that was it. I hung up the monitor, put it on my desk, and it worked really well. I couldn't be happier with how it came out, and knowing I designed and made it myself is pretty darn cool. Can't wait to make another CNC project.
Go ahead, Sarah. Try to tell me that's not awesome.
Okay, it's awesome. It's awesome. I like the project.
For our first project, I think it turned out really cool.
I really like the hexagons in it.
Yeah, they look awesome.
I honestly didn't think I was going to, but I like how it turned out.
My favorite part, though, is not only is it functional, but every time I see it, not only did I build it, but like I designed it, and that just brings me a ton of joy. So, anyways, I want to thank Heart for sponsoring this episode and reminding us that we can build anything we can imagine if we do it with heart.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.
All right, guys, break's over.
Let's make something.